When we think of fast days, we think of Kippur, Tisha B'Av, and then the minor fasts, Som Gedalia, Asara B'Tevet, Sheva Asar B'Tamuz, Ta'anit Esther, and that's it. We don't think there are any other fast days. But in fact, in Syria, in Egypt, in Tunisia, in Libya, in Eretz Israel, and many other Sephardic communities, there were other fasts. In fact, those fasts are called Shobabim. Shobabim is an acronym for the Parashiyot, Shemot Va'era, Bo B'Shalach, Yitro Mishpatim. And during those 6 weeks, from beginning of Shemot till the end of Mishpatim, many people fasted. There were those that fasted just on Mondays and Thursdays, some just on Thursdays, some for entire week at a time. In other words, from Mosei Shabbat until Shabbat started again. And there were those that would fast just 2 days straight, including both day and night, or 3 days straight, day and night. Let me explain. According to the writings of the Ari, through his student Rabbi Haim Vital Maharhu, we know that there is a great need to fast for certain sins. And they basically said this is the time to fast during these weeks from Shemot through Mishpatim. What it's based on is another story. But it seems to be very Kabbalistically based. It's something we only first know about beginning from around the year 1350, about 150 years before the Ari, and then through the writings of the Ari, through his students, we get to know about it, and our Hachamim in our Sephardic communities talked about it at length. So during these weeks of Shobabim, let's talk about Halab, for example. We know Hacham Abraham Antebi, who was chief rabbi of Halab. He passed away in 1858. He wrote numerous books, but in his books, Chokhmah Musar and Ohel Yesharim, which were his last 2 books that he wrote, he brings up the subject of Shobabim. Here's a copy of Chokhmah Musar and Ohel Yesharim. He talks about these things, and he says in the generation before him, it was very, very common. So let's talk, that we're talking about basically 200 years ago from where we are today. And he talks about how almost a large segment of the community in Halab fasted during Shobabim. There were those that fasted just Mondays and Thursdays, those that fasted the entire week, and those that fasted for periods of 2 days or 3 days. Why 2 days or 3 days? According to the Kabbalists, fasting 2 days straight, in other words, not eating for a full 48-hour period, is the equivalent of fasting 27 fasts. Or if you do a 3-day fast, okay, again, we're talking about 72 hours straight, no eating or drinking at all. That's equivalent to 40 days of fasting. For certain avonot, they say that we need 84 fasts. So they would fast 3 days straight, take a break, another 3 days, or 1 week 3 days, the next week 3 days, and then do 4 individual 1-day normal fasts to get those 84 fasts in. But not only that, he said even though not everybody did it, there were many people that did it, and those that did not do it encouraged those that were doing it, and in fact came to pray with them. Nowadays, when we hear there's going to be longer prayers, we generally tend to run away. But in these cases, for Minha, they would have an extra lengthy Minha with extra prayers, with extra Tehillim included, extra Mizmorim, with Silihot, with Bidil V'Ya'abor, with everything. And he said the majority of the community, the majority of the congregation would show up to the Beit Knesset to join those that were in these Ta'aniyot, in these fasts of the Shobabim days, to join them for Minha, because they knew this was a kapara on not only them, but the entire community. And Hacham Abraham Antebi specifically continues to write, because in those days, when they did these fasts, the community never knew of any misgivings, of any ill, any sorrow. He goes, even financially, people were better off. Even if they weren't making a lot of money, money seemed to go a lot further, and they were able to get a lot more for their dollar. So he saw a lot of positive in these fasts of Shobabim. We see it in the writings, as I said, of Acham Abraham Antebi. He's not the only rabbi from Halab who wrote about it. Many other rabbis wrote about it, but he wrote about it at length. We know about it from Egypt. In the Han Masraim, he talks about it. We know about it from Tunisia, from Ali Hadas. In fact, there was a special book, prayer book, for Shobabim, printed in Livorno, called Tikkun HaShobabim, and these are all the prayers and the extra prayers for Minha, including Vidui HaGadol. So this was a very, very big thing in the Middle East at the time. It was a big thing called the Hida in Italy as well. Nowadays, we've basically let it slide, go to the wayside. In Israel, there are some places where they still do it. But coming up in the next video, we're going to talk about in what way these fasts have been replaced with Tani Dibur, also through a Hacham from Halab, Hacham Ishaq Alfiyeh. Stay tuned for the next video.